Hi, everyone. It's Justin, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, wherever you may be, whether you're here in the United States or another land outside of the United States. We are so grateful and thankful to have you with us, no matter how you're coming to us, whether you're watching, listening, wherever you're from, as I just mentioned. So I figure I'd say that twice. Uh, Thank you for making us one of the hottest podcasts, TV show, The Voices for Voices, TV show and podcast. Thank you for making us one of the top rated podcasts across the world. Thank you so much. Help us reach 300 countries, territories, and provinces. Help us reach 3,000 cities across the world. We're well over 1,000 cities, well over 100 countries, and help us reach and help people at 3 billion plus across the world over the course of my lifetime and beyond. If you're able to, you can please reach out to 25 or 50 of your contacts in your phone. Let them know about the Voices for Voices podcast and TV show. We would greatly appreciate that. And we ask if you're able to give us a big thumbs up, follow, like, share, subscribe, all those fun things that are easy to do, and they're free. However, if you're able to and you'd like to, Voices for Voices is a 501c3 nonprofit charity. So here in the United States, if you donate to us, you're able to write off that amount of your donation uh, on your taxes, your federal taxes. So I think now is good timing for that. Uh, if you haven't worked through your taxes for last year, you still have a little bit of time that you can for last year's taxes, or they'll be for next year's taxes, which will be for calendar year 2026. If you are residing in a country, territory, province outside of the United States, you want to check with your tax advisor just to double check. But we are a full 501c3 nonprofit charity. You can look us up and you will find our EIN number, our employee identification number. So thank you very much for joining us, being a part of over 445 episodes now of the Voices for Voices podcast and TV show. We're sending lots of good vibes, lots of prayers your way. You don't have to be a believer to be part of the Voices for Voices movement, helping people with mental challenges, trauma. Uh, we're here to help. We're here to unite, not divide. Uh, that's what it's about. And I founded the organization uh, on my diagnoses of my mental illnesses. So I'm not some CEO that's been inserted or some executive director that's been inserted and will be gone next year or in a couple of years. So I'm here for life. So thank you. So Godspeed. We hear this word at different times, right? So we hear this word. I believe the last time I heard this word, uh, not that that means or that this means that it was the last time that it was used, but there was some kind of military action that the United States did, and I believe that the United States President Donald J. Trump, I believe he said Godspeed in in the moments just leading up to that military action. It's been used in other maybe military, other important uh, other important areas, and I want to follow that theme of Godspeed, not in the military sense. We're not going there. We're not going into politics. Uh, Remember, we're about culture, way less. We're not about politics. So I want to talk about Godspeed, just like the word says, Godspeed. So capital Godspeed, Godspeed. A lot of us, me me included, are very impatient. We want things now. We want things right. We don't want to wait. We want things when we want things. And we don't want to wait. I can't stress this enough that if there's, I mean, let's just call it like this. So I don't drink coffee, but there's a lot of coffee drinkers across the world. So if you are at a an establishment that you're waiting in line to order your coffee, or any food really, that you're waiting, and you want the food quicker. So we want what we want. So whether that's coffee, whether that's food, whatever that may be, uh, we don't want to wait any longer than we have to, but we end up waiting. This is all going to make sense, I promise you. So when I talk about Godspeed, as we talk about it in this show, the the barista, the person, the chef, uh, the baker, whoever we're waiting for to give us what we ordered, and then we pay, right? Usually we pay first and then we wait, and then which is to prevent, people from running off without paying. So it's like you pay and then we'll work on what you ordered. So Godspeed, how this comes into play is things happen in God speed, not Justin speed, not LeBron speed, not Taylor Swift speed. Things happen in God speed. And we don't know what that speed looks like. Meaning, is it super fast? Is it super slow? We're not God. None of us are. And none of us are perfect. So we don't know what God's speed is. It's not a calculation that we can make and say, okay, so if we drive 35 miles per hour, uh, and start doing, some calculation, say this is going to be exactly how long it takes, and that's that. That's not the case. Things happen in Godspeed. So looking for a job, one of the most frustrating things on the planet. applying, setting up profiles, setting up more profiles. Some go quickly, some go slowly. They happen in Godspeed. And so I know for me, especially mentally for me, I want things to happen when I want them to, and you want things to happen when you want things to. But that's not the case. That's not the deal. Things happen in God's speed. So when he is ready, and if you're not a believer, that's okay. Uh, things happen in a particular speed that we don't have 100% control of 100% of the time. So you can think of it like that. If you're not a believer and you don't want to look at it from the God side of things, um, that's okay. We still want things when we want them. We don't want to wait. We want things fast. We want things cheap. We want things built to last. We don't want we don't want to wait. And then a day comes or a time comes and we're presented with the coffee, the latte. If we're going back to the coffee example, we're talking about air travel. The price comes up for the departure airport and the arrival airport. And so, the internet's doing its thing, your connection's doing its thing. But in the end, I don't have control. I know having, for those with children, I think it makes things a little bit easier to comprehend. Comprehension isn't the best part of me. So growing up, I, as many of us, going through school, formal school, reading, writing, arithmetic. So reading, reading, I think came fairly, fair. I don't say fairly easy. Uh, I didn't have that much trouble, I guess. And what that means is I remember sitting in class, and a lot of times if we were reading a story, a teacher, professor sometimes would have us read out loud to the class. And it may be like, here's a paragraph, and each paragraph a student will read. And then the next paragraph, another student would read. And, you sometimes go up and down the rows. And then whenever it gets to you, it gets to you. So you and I may have tricky words in our paragraph, or we may have a little easier. But all this to say is reading for me has been relatively easy. Vocabulary, relatively easy. Comprehension, not as easy. Uh, and so even to this day, there are sometimes, not always, in fact, very few. But that's one of the areas where it takes me a couple of times to read through something, and I'm okay with that. It's not that big of a deal to me. Um, the world isn't going to end if I have to read a paragraph or an article twice or a manuscript twice or you fill in the blank twice, three times. And that just goes to show me that things happen in God's speed, not my speed. If it was my speed, I would get through everything so fast. But the thing is would I remember all that? Would we remember every single thing? Some of us, right? So there's like, this IQ test, uh, that shows, intelligence of a person. And I don't know where I don't know where I fall on that scale. Uh, and it doesn't really matter. But what I'm trying to do is hammer home the term Godspeed, that no matter what we do, how we do it, uh, we can't control everything. In fact, there's very little that we can control or that we can impact at such a high level. And there's no problem with that. There's no problem if we have to wait a little bit longer or other things, maybe they come a little bit quicker. And I think part of it for me, being a procrastinator too, uh, may not may not be as helpful uh, when everything is in Godspeed. So, right, if you're compacting the amount of time to do something, to read something, to stop and get a coffee before getting to work, or whatever analogy we want to use. We're running late, and so that we're expecting the barista to magically make up 10 minutes of time that we lost because we left late. And it's not a problem if we left late. Like a lot of times we don't do it on purpose. For getting our children ready for school, getting our lunches ready, whatever it may be. Things happen, weather happens, life happens. It's okay. So you hear me saying it's okay a lot on these shows because it's okay until it's not. It's okay. There's very, for looking at all jobs, all kinds of work, a lot of jobs are time critical. But then in the same sense of those that are, time critical, who sets the time and says they're critical? Says if it's not done at this exact minute, second, hour, day, month, year, I'll just use filming a show. So if or we start filming a minute after we thought we were going to start, so be it. Big deal. It's not my speed, it's God's speed. Some days we film, some days we don't. Some days we drop episodes, sometimes we don't. Some days we don't. And so we think about, does it matter? Does it matter if we drop an episode on this particular day at this particular time, I know for a fact, unless you own every single bit of the supply chain, you can even schedule to have a show drop at a certain date and time, and it could drop a minute later than that. And so you could plan on 10:47 a.m. on Thursday, February, you insert the date. And we look at it and go, well, it it didn't the show didn't drop exactly when I wanted it to. I've learned that I can't control that. Even if I set the date and the time for it to drop, that there's usually a buffer of like around this time, which is usually a couple minutes, give or take. Meaning, if I want a 10:47, maybe it drops at 10:45. Maybe it drops at 10:50. And so we don't need to we don't need to worry. We shouldn't worry about these things because these are things that gets our mind, gets my mind, gets us all in a frenzy. And we go, oh my gosh, well, this didn't come out on time. That didn't come out on time. I didn't get this out until a time later. Well, I got this out early. Is that gonna throw things off? I'll say when life gets a little bit more simpler when we just focus on what we want to do, what we'd like to do. And so again, I may want to film one day, one episode. It's not the whole day. And maybe other things come up that it's just not possible that particular day. And so I began to say internally to myself, it's okay. If it's a particular idea, theme, event, and I want to make sure that it's exactly that, then I have to write it down so that I know that the next time we film, this is the topic and these are the areas that we're going to go into. Things are so uh, things change day to day, minute to minute, second to second, hour to hour, that I've found that by being less wanting to do things on Justin's speed and more doing things on God's speed, then I'm a little bit more productive, actually a lot more productive, because there's less time that I'm getting upset and going, oh, well, there goes another opportunity, Justin. There goes another opportunity. There's going to be opportunities that we're going to be presented with that we're going to be able to step up and step forward and accept them. And there's going to be other ones that, for one reason or another, We're not. And why is that? Because things happen in God's speed, not my speed, not your speed, not a friend's speed. Things happen in God's speed. And if you're not a believer, things happen in a speed that we cannot fully control and impact. We can try. Again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't try and that we shouldn't have certain deadlines and uh, but there's some things that we're not going to be able to control or impact as many things as we would like. And I've just learned that through experience. And there's still times where I still try to force it, but as much as that happens, the more I'm reminded that things don't happen in Justin's speed. Things don't happen in Voices for Voices speed. Things happen in God's speed. And the more that we come come to grips with that or come to terms with that, I think might be better term. The more we come to terms with that, again, I think we'll be more productive. And by when I say more productive, I don't mean that we're always going to be doing things and completing tasks. Some of that is rest and relaxation and uh, self-care. So taking a day off from something may feel like we're not doing something, like, oh, I'm missing out, not doing much or not doing things on this particular day. But in God's speed, things will get done. If God wants them to get done, they'll get done. And they'll get done in God's speed, not my speed. And that includes rest, self-care, time away from whatever we're working on for a period of time. And again, is it a day? Is it an hour? It's in God's hands. That's who is guiding us. And if you're not a believer, there's some force at play, whatever you would like to refer to that as. If we take a step back and we look at what we've accomplished, what we've done, again, I've been much more productive, helpful, at least I think, by taking this approach. And so this show's been a long time in coming to talk about Godspeed, not my speed, not anybody else's speed. And so to go back to the beginning of this show, when I mentioned that the United States president used the word Godspeed before a military operation, it doesn't have to be a military operation. It could be giving a speech, Godspeed, as in, may your words be clear, clarity at the right speed, not too fast, not too slow. So that's something I focus on. I'm trying to focus on is things happen for a reason. And a lot of times I'm not going to know that reason. And so I shouldn't try. I mean, I can look and go, oh, well, this happened because of this, that, and the other. But why take the short amount of time we have on Earth worrying about that? Why don't we just live? Things are going to happen in God's speed, not our speed. So the quicker we understand that, or the quicker we understand that there's another higher power, as Coldplay has in one of their songs that talk about higher power, whatever that may be. Maybe it's nothing. I don't know. But I believe that there's something else in play, and I attribute it to God. You don't have to. In fact, we don't, as a society and as a world, we think we don't want everybody to think like us. We want to be unique, and we are. And so that's why things happen. And so we can look at like a friend or a colleague or a loved one and go, well, they did this thing in this amount of time, or it only took them, this number or that number. And that's where the comparing and the judgment and all those things come in. So when we think of Godspeed or higher power speed, it really helps us judge less. It really helps us judge less because we don't get caught up in what others do. We can watch and uh, root for and cheer people on. We don't have to compare or judge, though. Say, hey, I did that thing. Great. That's great. Somebody else did it too. Somebody else might in the future do it. And so when we take that energy from the judging and the gossip, when we focus on facts and that things happen in God's speed and not our speed, that opens up just a little bit in our brain, in our mind. And why is that important? Because we can use that brain power, that mind power to work on, to do something, to do nothing, to take a nap, to rejuvenate, to eat, to speak, to talk, to listen. And so may God speed each and every one of our viewers, our listeners. We want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's because of you we're here. It's because of you, your demand of watching and listening all across the world. So catch us on a future episode and take a look at any previous episodes we've had. We have quite the catalog, quite the vast, diverse catalog. And it's because of you that we're at the top of our game. And all we're doing is just being human and being ourselves and letting things happen in Godspeed. So this has been Justin Allen Hayes, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us. Let your friends know. Reach out to 25 contacts in your phone. Let them know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Let's shatter more records. We can do it together. We can help. We're a uniter, not a divider. Have a great day, great evening, great morning, great afternoon, and we shall see you on the next show. Take care. Bye for now.